Brought to you by Penguin. How Not to Die Too Soon. Written and read by me, Devi Sridhar. Prologue. Bad news on the bus. The conversation passes in a blur with phrases such as, results took longer than usual, abnormal cells, possibly cancer. The nurse is vague when I ask what happens next. Well, you'll get a letter, probably in the next few weeks, that you're on the wait list, and then a letter with your appointment a few weeks after that sometime. It might take a couple months to get you in, possibly 6 months, I don't know. We have a large backlog. But keep calling in asking about cancellations, and maybe you'll get it sooner. Sorry. She hangs up the phone. I sit there, paralyzed by the call. The one behind me pats my shoulder. I wonder what she must think, overhearing someone getting potentially life-changing bad news on a bus. A bus to work on a freezing Scottish winter's morning. In my routine smear test with the National Health Service, the NHS, 3 months earlier, high-risk human papillomavirus was found, and this has caused changes to my cervix. I know there's a vaccine highly effective at preventing HPV, but I'm too old to be covered by the NHS vaccination program, which targets teenagers. It was only approved in 2006, when I was already 22. If you're vaccinated before being exposed to HPV, it's 97% effective at preventing cell changes that could lead to cervical cancer. But that doesn't help me right now. When I am lecturing my students about public health, I tell them that more than 95% of cervical cancers are caused by high-risk HPV. Thousands of women are diagnosed each year, and more than a quarter die. Famously, TV personality Jade Goody died of cervical cancer at just 27, and it's a cancer most frequently diagnosed in women between 35 and 44. It's survivable if precancerous cells are treated at an early stage, but my lab results are from months back, and I know the long NHS waiting list means it might be months before I see a doctor for further examination and treatment. I also tell my students that the UK has one of the worst survival outcomes for cancer in Europe and North America because of late diagnosis, delayed treatment, and an overstretched health service. When cervical cancer is diagnosed at an early stage, I tell them, the 5-year survival rate is 92%. If it's diagnosed and treated after it has spread throughout nearby tissue and organs, this drops to 59%. Luckily, I've been identified by routine screening, but I'm dependent on the overstretched NHS for rapid investigation and, if necessary, treatment. As I sit on the bus, my mind wanders. What if my dream to move back to the Florida coast never happens? What if I can't go see my mother again and I end up dying before her? What if it's nothing and I'm freaking out for no reason? But also, what if it is something? The word cancer feels like a death sentence. The tough paths of chemotherapy, radiation, surgery. I've seen it all closely when my dad was sick to the point where you wonder whether living with this kind of pain and treatment is worth it. Could it even be worse than just living and dying with cancer? My father, who himself was an oncologist, was diagnosed with lymphoma in his early 40s. I was 12. There were 2 possible conversations at each blood check or screening. A crossroads of good news or bad news, with whatever the doctor said leading you down very different paths. I remember one of my father's colleagues saying, "Cancer will get you in the end, whether it's now or a bit later or a lot later. Treatment can push back the outcome, but it lingers and never really goes away, even when you're in remission." This is not entirely true, but it was true enough or scary enough to stick in my mind. Before each of my father's doctor's appointments, my high school friends would comfort me. Of course it's going to be good news. Statistics show he'll be fine. And that's exactly what I am hearing now. The nurse trying to reassure me with statistics about survival rates and treatment. I am told what I already know. More than 80% of women have HPV at some time in their lives, and most HPV resolves on its own. In 95% of cases, the HPV virus causes no symptoms or health problems, and in the roughly 1 in 20 women who have abnormal smear results, like me, only about 1 in 2,000 will have cancer. Precancerous cells can be detected and killed early. Most women go back to living their life, perhaps slightly more conscious about their mortality and the other path their life might have taken. But
Sample complete. Ready to continue?